I see probably 99% of people out there who don't adhere to those rules. And they're very simple rules. And if you can put your ego to rest and follow those rules, you get really good results from it. You grow really, really well.
Why do we go to the gym? Why do we go to the gym? We go to the gym to get results, yeah?
Yeah.
So that should be your main priority. So I'll tell you, man, when I was professional bodybuilding, if for me to get optimum results required me to stay in the gym 14 hours a day and lift weights, I would have done it. If it required me to eat dog shit, I would have done it. Yeah? But I knew that it didn't. So I spent an hour in the gym 4 times a week and I got the best results.
And it was funny because it's ironic. It's the opposite. You have to do less to get more, but you have to be much more focused and intense when you're doing what you're doing.
Less time in the gym, less volume, more focus, more intensity. Mike Mensa, that was kind of a mentor of mine, I guess.
Yeah.
He said everyone thinks more is better, but more is better with money and women, nothing else. I'm not agreeing with him there, to be honest.
Yeah. Dorian,
those two things are bringing problems as well.
You had a really big affinity also for that old Nautilus pullover machine. Why did you like that movement so much for back?
Well,
everyone started doing that, by the way, when you started doing those.
The function of the lats is to bring the upper arm down and back, right? So here's the pullover machine. All the way to there, 180 degrees range of motion. You can't do that with any other exercise equipment. Plus, what's the weak link in all your back exercises? The biceps.
Right.
You've got to connect through the biceps, rowing, pull downs, whatever. You're connecting the weight through the biceps, into the back, into the lats. Your biceps are a small muscle. So there's a good chance when you're doing those pull downs or rows or whatever, maybe the biceps is failing.
Right.
Before the lats have gone 100%. So by doing the Nautilus pullover machine, especially by doing it first, you're totally isolating the lats with no bicep.
Right.
You kill the lats on the pullover machine. And then you go do your pull downs. Then you're going to feel the difference.
True, you're right.
That's why I do it like that. And for me, the Nautilus pullover machine, and I don't have any contract or any interest.
You reinvigorated that business for Nautilus, I think.
I don't have any interest in it, rather than just saying how it is. That's the single most important piece of weight training equipment ever made. Nautilus pullover machine. They were being thrown out of gyms because they're like, what the fuck is this old piece of torture equipment taking up space in the gym?
With a bicycle chain on it, right?
Yeah, but since I started doing it, now you try and buy one, they're like $4 or $5 grand a piece.
Yeah, they're expensive, you can't get them.
But they're worth it. Some of the Nautilus machines were amazing.
Arthur Jones was ahead of his time with that.
Arthur Jones was a genius, eccentric guy with no financial interest in bodybuilding, right? He had his own businesses, I don't know what they were, but he had his own airline.
He bred snakes, he had a lot of like weird businesses.
The guy was a billionaire.
Yeah.
So he said, look, I got no interest in this bodybuilding apart from, it fascinates me, what's the best way to build muscle? And this is where the high intensity training comes from, and he built these machines. Some of them were great, some of them were not so great, but the bicep machine, the tricep machine are great, and the pullovers.
Yeah, you like to do one arm on the bicep.
I like the leg extension as well.
Yeah.
Leg curl, they're good.
They allowed you to connect with the muscle a little better, I think.
Absolutely, and the thing about the Nautilus machine is the cam. The cam is very important because the cam is shaped like a kidney, and somehow Arthur Jones figured out like that you would get 100% of the resistance through 100% of the range of motion.
Right.
So if you've got 100 pounds on the curl, it'll be 100 pounds, 100 pounds, 100 pounds. It'll be 100 pounds all the way through.
It was perfectly balanced.
If you've got a barbell, there's like basically 0 at the bottom.
Right.
And then it will increase until you hit the midpoint where it's the most resistance.
Right.
And then it'll fall off again.
Yeah, true. Were there exercises that were kind of bodybuilder mainstay exercises that you threw in the garbage and said, you know what, this just doesn't work for me?
Bench press. After a few years, and I got this also from Arthur Jones, that you get a much better range of motion as far as a multi-joint pressing exercise with a low decline. Again, the range of function of your pecs is to bring the upper arm down and across the body, down and across.
Right.
So there's more range of motion in a decline press than a flat bench press, And if you know anyone that's tore a pec, 9 times out of 10 it's on a flat bench.
Yeah.
Because it puts a lot of strain on this tendon junction, the pec tendon going into the shoulder. So, and I was doing it because Arnold did it, Sergio did it,
right?
Lee Haney did it, and they had, they had huge pecs.
Right.
My pecs were not the easiest thing to develop, probably. After the biceps, they're probably the second most troublesome area. So I had to experiment. I was doing bench press, and I was getting strong. I could bench over 500 pounds, but I was getting more delt development and more triceps. My pecs were still pretty flat, so I started doing low decline and low incline, and dumbbell flies.
And that seemed to work for you, huh?
Yeah.
I personally, I never felt like old preacher curls. Old French presses and skull crushes. I didn't feel them, and I talked to Vince Taylor once, and he's like, I do all cable work.
Yeah.
And I started doing cable work, and my arms grew. I had a long arm, and you got to find what works for your body.
It's always good to question.
Yeah.
I always did that. Don't matter what you hear, even if I'm saying the Nautilus Pullover is the best thing since sliced bread, and you do it and you think it's not.
But everyone copied.
Not doing it properly.
Everyone copied you. You threw conventional exercise in the garbage, and you said, "This is what I'm doing," and everyone said, "All right, I'm doing it too." And they all, everyone. I remember we'd go to Steve Weinberger's gym. Everyone was doing the Nautilus Pullover, the Dorian Yates row, bent over rows, reverse grip.
Every time I went to Steve's gym, he's like, what new equipment do we need in here?
Yeah.
I was like, get one of these or get one of these. Right?
But it was like a cult following that followed you, and you know what? We all got results.
Exactly.
We all got good results from it.
I'm not saying that everybody in bodybuilding strictly follows my protocol or my routine exactly, but if we look back at pre-Dorian and post-Dorian, pre-Dorian, you had guys like Lee Haney and Gaspari. They were training like 6 days a week, twice a week chest, twice a week legs, everything twice a week.
And they weren't that big.
And they were not given enough recovery time. So people started training less was one of the factors in seeing bigger and more muscular physiques.
But here's an interesting, if you think about this though, when you came on and started telling people about your training methodologies, guys got huge, if you remember. Amateurs, pros, everyone was following you. When you retired, people have a short memory. People said, forgot about it, and they stopped doing it. And I wonder if the physiques today have been negatively influenced by the fact that people forgot about your training methodologies. Because I don't see the same emphasis on training today that I saw back in the 90s.
I was just going to say the same thing. Back in the 80s or 90s, maybe me and you would sit down or something and we'd talk about training.
Right.
And exchange ideas about training.
Exactly.
I just don't see that really happening now.
No.
It's almost like the training is secondary. We go in the gym, we pump some sets, and that's it. Everyone's doing the same kind of thing, and their focus is elsewhere where it shouldn't be.
Well, it seems like everyone's got their own training system today, and most of it's a high volume pump type workouts, and I just don't think that that's going to build massive, dense physiques that we want to see on an Olympia stage.
You got a whole industry now in bodybuilding, or more like the fitness industry, right? You got a whole industry, and I was talking to somebody last night. They were doing an interview with me. I'm like, you know what I think? I think the coaches are smarter than the bodybuilders these days. I was like, why do you say that? I said, because the coaches are making a lot of money, to give out bullshit advice most of the time, and most of these coaches, okay, Mr. Coach, what have you done? What have you done?
A lot of these guys never even competed.
Well, where do you get this information from? Where do you come to these conclusions? Have you done it yourself? Hey guys, if you've got a coach and they haven't won any contests of any prestige, drop that coach right now.
Well, that's why I started certifying coaches. I have my own secrets to becoming a diet guru, of course, because I'm so sick of understanding basic physiology and the idea of carbs, fat, and protein and what they do, that I felt necessary. But I really think that we need to enforce again how important training is. I think it's a lost art. I think today no one knows what they're doing. I really don't.
For me, training is bodybuilding. I love to train. I still love to train. I got some injuries now, so I can't really train with weights, but I don't care, man. I get a bike and I ride it up mountains. because I want to push myself.
Yeah,
I want to see what I'm made of, yeah?
Yeah.
And when I ride my bike up the mountains, there ain't nobody there. Nobody knows if I'm going to turn around halfway up and decide like this, I want to go down. It's between me and me, yeah?
Right.
And for me, the beauty of bodybuilding, what I loved about it, it was an individual sport when I did it. I had to figure out my nutrition. I had to figure out my training. I had to do my training. It was all down to me. I had a support system of people that supported what I was doing, but every decision I made myself. And you're the one who's living inside your body, right? So, first of all, you need to make notes. You need a book and you need a pen, or one of these gadgets you got now. I still prefer a pen and a book. Write things down. Write your routine down. Write your results down. Write how you're feeling, and get your feedback. And if something's working, great. We'll keep that.
Right.
This isn't working. Forget about that. That ain't working for me.
People are afraid to throw stuff out. They like to add extra stuff, but they don't remove the stuff that's not working. And what you're saying, and I think you guys should all listen to this, is that if it don't work, get rid of it.
Absolutely.
It's not, if you're not making progress, if your pecs aren't growing or your back's not growing, doing what you're doing, start from scratch. Figure out what you're doing wrong. Don't keep making the same mistakes, because you're never going to improve.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't listen to anybody. Listen to people that have information, have knowledge. But I think ultimately you have to take responsibility for yourself and your own outcome. So I would listen to a lot of people. I would listen to Mike Mensa, who was a hero of mine when I was growing up. I read about this guy in the magazine. But did I agree, or just do what Mike told me because it was Mike? No, I would listen to him and
made it your own.
Be appreciative for your advice, but I would take that and I would decide whether it's relevant to me or whether it works and whether it doesn't work. So I think that's what you got to do.
This was I think really enlightening in the sense. I think a lot of people haven't really heard anyone talk about training for so long that it's so important. And I think that once again, if we could really re-usher in the idea of training being the most paramount important thing to building muscle, I think we'll see a lot better physiques in the future. I just think now we're seeing, dare I say, the genetic freaks are the ones who are winning shows now, because the guys that could be in the gym, attaining high levels of muscle separation and size and 3D looks to them are just not getting that, because they're not pushing themselves hard enough in the gym.
Absolutely. Even on the pro Olympia levels, I mean, the guys are great and they got good mass, obviously, but they don't seem to be going for that condition. I mean, I was talking to Kevin Levrone. I'm like, man, when we used to compete and we went to the Mr. Olympia, you could have a tracksuit on zipped up to here. It don't matter. You can see who's in shape, yeah? Because their face would be like a skull, and you'd be able to see all the muscle definition around the jaw and everything. This guy's in shape. Now I go and I see the guys that got head like pumpkins still, so,
When you see a physique like, I'm sure a lot of people thinking the same thing I am. When you see a physique like Big Ramy, okay? Massive amounts of muscle, but just doesn't have the graininess that you had. You know that there's something under there. Wouldn't you love to get a hold of this guy and just mold his mind and his body? I mean, he has all the genetic tools to be a 10-time Mr. Olympia.
If he wants to come to me and he wants to pay me enough money, and also he wants to suffer, you know how to contact me, man. I mean, if I was Big Ramy, my advice to him would be, I don't know what you weighed on stage last year or the year before or whatever. I hear about these numbers, but I take no notice of that, because I think most of them are just bullshit. But whatever your weight was, if you came in 15 to 20 pounds lighter, you would be so much better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So stop, might sound strange coming from me, stop playing the size game.
Yeah.
I played the size game, but when I started getting ready for a contest, that was out the window. Now I'm going to get nasty shredded game. I'm going to get lightweight condition game, and combine that with the muscle mass.
But knowing what you know today, I mean, you're so much wiser than when you were competing, because you have the gift of retrospection now. you must see a guy like Big Ramy and say, holy shit, man, if I get a hold of this guy, I know I can make him into like the next craziest freak of nature.
I can't make nobody into nothing, man. I can give advice and I can push them, but they got to have the heart in the first place.
Of course.
You know, and honestly, I can't work with people if they don't have the heart. If I ask them to do something which I know they can do, and they don't want to do it, that would be the end of that relationship.
Of course. But I like the fantasy type of situations because it's almost like Apollo Creed training Rocky type of thing. I would love to see you get him for 6 months and lock him away in a dungeon of yours, and then have him come out for the Mr.
Like
Olympia.
Frankenstein's experiment.
Well, this was a treat for me because, as you know, I love talking to Dorian. But any of you guys out there have any questions for Dorian? You want to ask? Raise your hand if you do. I'll come up and give you the microphone.
You did such a great job, Dave. Nobody got any questions.
We covered all that. You want to come up? Come on up.
So you launched a new
I can't hear.
So you have a line of products. What do you recommend? What's the best for his line of products? So the new nutrition line.
I'm hearing some of it. You're asking about my products, DY Nutrition?
Yeah.
Who designs the products? Well, it's a team of formulators and myself. So we work together and we bounce ideas back and forth, and that's how we come up with the formulations. So DY Nutrition is that I'm not like an endorsee or something. It's my company. I'm the major shareholder in the company. And I'm very particular about what I put my name to. I mean, if you look on my social media and stuff, you won't see I'm not working with 100 different companies, yeah? This is my company, and it's important to me what goes in the products and the quality of the products and everything like that. Otherwise, I don't want to put my name on it. So I work closely with them, and, they maybe have more technical knowledge than I do, and I have more practical knowledge, so it's kind of a combination of both. Like women's training and men's training, it's not a huge difference, really. Both sexes need increased protein intake, both sexes kind of benefit from a pre-workout that's going to help you get more reps, get you through the workout, and so on. So I don't think there's anything particular in the range that should be for men and women. We don't have a testosterone booster. If we did, maybe that wouldn't apply to women, but right now all the products, we have high quality creatine, glutamine, that can apply to everybody. As far as particularly for women and women's health and cosmetic products, we're planning to do something with Gal, who's my wife. We're going to do something later with that as well, so it'll be something more geared just to the ladies.
Dorian, is the business of supplements more difficult than the business of bodybuilding that you did earlier in your career? Which is harder?
Any business for me is more difficult than the business of bodybuilding, because the business of bodybuilding, I only had to contend with myself. Of course, you got the competition on the stage, right?
Right.
But in business, I mean,
now you have to talk to people, right? That sucks. You have to do that while you're
bodybuilding.
bodybuilding.
And I'm sure, many bodybuilders, many athletes have been through the same thing over the years, where you're an athlete, man. That's what you learn to do, and that's what you know.
Right.
And sometimes you put your business in business people's hands, and they're just like sharks waiting to eat you up. So you got to be careful. Fortunately, I got a great team now of people that we all work together. It's I've had more stress from business since I retired than when I was competing. For me, that was simple. I didn't have much to control, just my own inputs.
Right. Well, it was a pleasure to talk to you, Dorian. Thank you so much. Dorian's going to be at his booth all weekend long. Be sure to stop over there if you want to talk to him, ask questions, take pictures. I know you're very personable with the fans now. And
yeah, we're right over there, DY.
Yeah, I can see him right from
there. For a
there.
little while, and if you miss me today, I'll be there pretty much all day tomorrow. I think I'm doing a workout with some lucky winner. We had a draw today, so they're going to have a lucky winner that gets a workout with me
Maybe it's
tomorrow.
not so lucky because you might send them home puking their guts out.
I don't know if they're lucky or if they're a victim, but anyway, they signed up for it now. So I'll be there at 11 and I'll be at the booth afterwards. All right, thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, guys.